On our anniversary, my husband's family took him out without telling me. I found out through a photo online with the caption, "A night with the people who really love you." When I asked why I wasn't invited, his mother said, "You two needed a break." That night, I booked a room for myself and left a postcard that said, "This break? It's permanent. We've been married 3 years. Together for 7. We met in a Waffle House near Lubbock. He ordered half browns with chili and cheese. I laughed and said, "You're either really brave or really lonely." He said, "Both." It was a good start. Nick's a plumber. Works long hours. I'm in customer service, call center, overnight shift, sometimes weekends. We've always had to fight for our time together. So I made sure we never forgot the important stuff: birthdays, holidays, our anniversary. This year, I planned ahead. Got the night off. Booked a room at a small bed and breakfast outside town. Reserved a table at this Mexican place where we went on our second date. Had a custom cake made that said, "Forever feels like home with you." That morning, he kissed me before leaving for work and said, "Tonight." I said, "Don't be late." He smiled. By 6 p.m., he still hadn't texted. By 6:30, I'd called twice. No answer. I told myself, maybe he got caught up. Emergency job. It happens. But something felt off. My stomach was tight. I changed into my dress anyway. Sat on the edge of the bed, checking the clock every 10 minutes. At 7:12, my phone pinged. His cousin tagged him in a Facebook photo. There he was. At a fancy steakhouse. Dressed nice. Clean-shaven. Smiling like a man with no worries in the world. Next to him, his mom, his dad, both sisters, their husbands. Even his aunt from Abilene. A table full of smiling faces. The caption said, "A night with the people who really love you. Happy anniversary of life and love, Nikki." I felt cold. I stared at it for a long time, reading that line over and over. The people who really love you. What the hell did that mean? Where was I in that equation? No one had told me about this dinner. No one even mentioned it. I clicked through the album. 15 photos. One had a little banner in the background that said, "We love you, Nikki." Another showed him hugging his mom. Another, his sister giving him a framed photo of their family. A family photo. No wives. No husbands. No me. Just them. It wasn't just a dinner. It was an erasure. I called his mom. She picked up right away and said, "Hey honey," like we were best friends. I asked, why wasn't I invited? She paused. Not long. Not shocked. Just enough to pretend. Then said, "Well, sweetheart, we figured you and Nick needed a little space. You've been under stress. We just wanted to take care of him tonight. Help him recharge." I said, "It's our anniversary." She said, "Yes, but sometimes couples need a break. Don't take it the wrong way." I hung up. Didn't say another word. I sat in silence for about a minute. Then I packed. One overnight bag. My purse. The room key for the bed and breakfast. I left the dress on and took off my wedding ring. I grabbed the cake I'd picked up the night before. It had sat in the fridge all day, waiting for him. I took it with me. When I got to the room, I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't text him. I cut a slice of cake. I looked in the mirror. I toasted myself. Then I wrote something on the back of a postcard from Palo Duro Canyon. It said, "This break? It's permanent." I went back home around 1 a.m. He still wasn't there. I left the postcard on the kitchen counter. And I left again. I stayed at the bed and breakfast for 2 nights. Nick didn't call the first day. Not even a text. Nothing. On the second night, I finally got a message. "Nick, where are you?" That was it. "No, are you okay?" "No, I'm sorry." Just 3 words. I didn't answer. 2 hours later, he called. I let it ring. Then he texted again. "Nick, we need to talk." I still didn't answer. The third message came an hour later. "Nick, your mom called me. You told her we're separated." I hadn't, not yet. But I guess my silence said enough. I told my mom I needed a few days and she must have filled in the blanks. That was the first time I felt real anger, not at him, but at myself. I had ignored so many signs, little ones. Like how his mom always accidentally left me out of group photos. Or how his sister once told me, "You'll never really be a part of this family, you know. You didn't grow up with us." Nick had laughed it off, said she was just being stupid. Now it felt like it had been a slow push-out. And I'd stood there, letting them walk me out of my own marriage. When I finally drove back to the house, I didn't bring my things in. Just walked in, looked around. He was on the couch. His eyes looked bloodshot, like he hadn't slept much. But I didn't care. He stood up fast, like he wanted to hug me or something. I stepped back. "Don't," I said. He just froze. "You went out with your family." "On our anniversary." He started with, "It wasn't like that." I cut him off. "Then how was it?" He opened his mouth, closed it, then said, "They surprised me." I didn't know it was happening. "Really?" I asked. "Because that restaurant was 45 minutes away. You dressed up. You shaved. And that banner wasn't something they pulled out of their trunk." I didn't know how to say no. That's the problem, Nick. You never do. Not with them. He looked at the floor. Then I said something I didn't plan to say. "I'm done." His head jerked up. "Wait, no. You're not serious." I said nothing. He stepped closer. "It was one night." "No. It was the night. The only night that was supposed to be about us." "I didn't mean for it to happen that way," he said, his voice cracking. I nodded. "That's the thing. You never mean to let them treat me like I'm nothing. But you still let them." He sat down slowly. He looked like a man who just realized the floor was gone under him. I walked into the kitchen. The postcard was still there. He had flipped it over. I grabbed it and shoved it in my purse. Then I walked out again. I didn't move back home. I want to stay with my friend Rachel in Lamesa. She offered her guest room without asking questions. She just handed me a spare key and said, "Stay as long as you need." I didn't tell her everything right away. I needed to get the timeline straight in my own head. What was real, what I'd ignored, what I'd let slide. But 2 days after I left again, I got a text from someone unexpected. His sister. "Melissa, wow. You really made a scene. I hope you're proud of yourself." I stared at the screen. My hands went cold. A minute later, another text. "Melissa. We told Nick he married the wrong kind of woman. You just proved us right." I nearly dropped the phone. I hadn't said a word to her. She had gone out of her way to find my number and send that. It made something in me snap. I screenshotted her texts. Then I sent them to Nick. "Me, you see now? This is what you protected." He didn't reply. The next day, Rachel came home from work and found me sitting at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She asked, "What are you doing?" I told her, "I'm looking for a lawyer." She didn't ask why. She just nodded and poured me a drink. The next twist came 2 days later. A friend of mine, Anita, who worked with me at the call center, sent me a message. "Anita, hey, I saw your husband at the mall. He was with a woman. Blonde, tall. Not his sister. They were real close. Holding hands. Thought you should know." At first, I didn't believe it. It sounded like bad timing or a misunderstanding. But Anita wasn't the dramatic type. I asked for details. She told me what store, what time. I called the store and asked if they had surveillance. Of course they wouldn't show it to me, but the manager gave me a hint without breaking policy. She had a white sweater. Pink purse. He bought her something. That matched Anita's description exactly. It hit me like a truck. While I was crying in guest rooms and calling lawyers, he was already shopping for his next mistake. I didn't cry after Anita told me. I didn't scream. I just felt clear. Like the fog had finally lifted. I called my lawyer. We filed for divorce that week. I didn't tell Nick. I didn't warn him. The papers showed up at his job, delivered by a process server while he was on a call fixing someone's water heater. 2 days later, he showed up at Rachel's. I was in the backyard with her dog when she called out, "You've got company." I came around the corner and saw him standing there in the driveway. He looked rough. Beard growing out, dark circles under his eyes, same clothes he wore 2 days ago. But I didn't feel bad for him. I walked up and stopped a few feet away. "You got the papers?" I asked. He looked down at his hands and said, "You didn't have to do it like that." "You didn't have to do it like this," I said, motioning to the entire mess. "I didn't cheat on you," he blurted. "Yet," I said. "You were working your way there." He didn't deny it. Just stood there, rubbing his jaw like he wanted to tear it off. Then he said something I didn't expect. "They told me to." I blinked. "What?" "My mom, my sister. They said you were holding me back. That you were using me. That I could do better. And you listened." He nodded. I was stupid. "No," I said, stepping closer. "You were weak. There's a difference." He swallowed hard. "I still love you." I stared at him. "No. You loved being taken care of. There's a difference." He looked away. I walked back to the porch and sat down. He didn't follow. "I gave you everything I had," I said calmly. "You gave it to them." He started crying then. Quiet, pathetic tears. Not even the kind you feel sorry for. I stood up and said one last thing. "Let them have you. You belong with them." Then I turned and went inside. It took 8 months for the divorce to finalize. His family tried to reach out during the process, called me, messaged me, even sent letters. I didn't answer a single one. I heard later that Nick moved back in with his parents. The blonde? She ghosted him a month after everything went public. Word got out in town. People stopped giving him jobs. No one wants to hire a man who gets taken out on his anniversary by his mommy. As for me, I transferred out of the call center and started working front desk at a small hotel nearby. It's not glamorous, but it's quiet and I sleep at night now. I even framed that postcard. The one I left on the counter. It hangs by my door now. A reminder. Not of pain, but of what I survived. Because sometimes the people who really love you are the ones who teach you to leave.